Over a decade ago, she drove onto Duke's campus to drop her son off at soccer camp. She knew at that moment someday she would make Durham her home, and that became a reality. In 2019, after she sold the business she founded and operated for 18 years. Throughout her life, she's worn many hats as a mother, an educator, an entrepreneur, a founder. She even had a brief stint as a vacuum salesperson. Mostly, she's a dreamer, one who's thrilled to be part of this larger community of visionaries. So please welcome to the RTP180 stage, Anjanette Miller.
Happy Friday Eve, everybody. That's what we call Thursdays in my house. Thank you for coming out. So when I was asked to speak, I thought about kind of the trend about normalizing failure, right? We talk a lot about it. We hear a lot about it. Failure is opportunity. Failure, let's normalize it. So I decided to, instead of potentially just an inspiring, that I would be vulnerable and share with you kind of a pivotal moment-ish in my life endeavors. So I wanted to share this picture, mostly the picture, the photo of the path, right? We use that a lot, a metaphor for life, right? We're on a path, and this path looks fairly straight. We know where we're going. We're on our path from A to Z, points to A to Z. But often we don't really know what's coming up. If we look at the photo, we have the horizon, there's a hill. We're not quite sure what's happening after that. And so I think about that a lot. And then I'm also a bit of a word nerd. I love grammar. I remember diagramming sentences in like elementary and middle school, and I wish we could do that more. Again, I would do that like a game, like Wordle, but diagramming. So I love prepositions because prepositions are directional words, right? They provide movement and direction. And when we are on our path, I mean, every day we are moving. We are moving through time and space. We aren't stopping. If we were on a metaphorical or literal path and we got to the top of the hill and there was a tree that had fallen, or there was a detour, or there was an obstacle there, we don't stop. We don't just park our car and then live there. And then we're, well, I'm just here now, right? There's movement. And prepositions help us move through that. I'm Anjanette Miller. I'm the executive director of Audacity Labs, which is a youth entrepreneurship program. We're empowering middle and high school youth through entrepreneurship, education, exposure, and exploration. But before I was that, I was a lot of things. And there was a period in my life from, I would say, maybe 18 to 24, where I held several jobs. Many jobs, and most of them, I got fired. Most of those. Sometimes I was working for a jerk. Sometimes I was the jerk, and I was fired many times. Just a few. Where the employer was, no, this is not a good fit. Now, at the time, I was a young mom. I was going to school full-time, I was working full-time, and I was ready to make some money, to pay a bill, to keep the lights on, to feed the kid, keep everybody nice and safe, pay for books, for school. So one day, my brother called me up and was like, sis, I just had this interview, I went through this training, I have this great job. It's amazing. Plenty of opportunity for growth, lots of money, it's sales, they're still looking for people, they want you, here's the number, give them a call. So I did. Gave them a call, set up an interview, sailed through the interview, went back for the training. It was a 2-day training, it was in sales. And they were like, this is what you're gonna do. You don't do cold calls, we give you the leads, we set up the appointments for you. Everything is just spelled out. It's gonna be so easy, you're gonna make tons of money. I was like, that'd be great, I need lots of money. Soon. And so I started on my path as a door-to-door vacuum salesperson. Now, if you are young, you don't remember, or you don't know, but so you're familiar with Dyson. Well, Kirby was the Dyson back in the 80s. And look at these lovely add-ons, right? All of the attachments. There is a car polisher, y'all. right? Anything you wanted, you got with the Kirby. And I had it. And they were going to set up the appointments. And they also were like, just use your network. Like, so I did. I was like, Mom and Mom's friends and church people. I was demoing vacuums everywhere. Now, what I didn't really plan for was the fact that as a vacuum salesperson, I would be entering people's homes, and I am deathly allergic to cats. Deathly allergic to cats. And like back in this was probably like the early 90s, and back in those days, there really wasn't asthma medicine. You either kind of suffered through it, little Vapo rub on your chest, and hope you made it through the night, or you went to the hospital. So I would be doing an appointment, and like one of the tricks was that you always had a dirty vacuum filter in the vacuum, so that after you vacuumed like their cushions or their drapes, and you pull out the dirty filter, and you're like, oh my gosh, sir, you need this vacuum. Look at this very dirty filter. But I also was like sneezing and coughing, and I couldn't breathe, and then I would miss appointments. And so, makes sense, I was called in, the manager's like, hey, like, your sales, they're not really where they should be. And I'm like, I know, but here's the thing. I'm allergic to cats. Like, this is a thing. And he was like, I think you're looking at this the wrong way. Like, this is an opportunity. You just need to learn how to close. So I said, okay, well, maybe, I'm not sure. I think you're a jerk, but I'm not quite sure yet exactly what. But also, sir, a lot of these appointments you're setting up for me, these people don't want a vacuum. They just want me to clean their house. They're like, yes, let this nice lady come in, and she can vacuum all my furniture, and she can vacuum my drapes, she can vacuum my carpet, and then she leaves. I'm not going to buy your vacuum, but I got a clean house. I'm not sure that this is the best place for me. And he's like, listen, you got this. Just try it for another week. And I was like, okay, gosh. So I knew I was really on short term here. I knew I was going to be fired within a week. I was 3 weeks in, 0 sales. And I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, you got to buy a vacuum. Like, I need your help. Like, I'm going to get fired. And like this job, Dave's making money. My brother was selling vacuums. So she bought a vacuum. And at the end of 1 month, and I'd sold 1 vacuum, I was fired. And I really needed all that money. And my mom probably needed her money too that she spent on the vacuum. So what I said is, okay, Mom, let me use your Kirby. Can I use your Kirby with all those attachments, right? There's a knife grinder, there's the car polisher, there's all these things. Can I use your vacuum, and I'll go clean people's houses, and I'll get paid for it, right? I'm not going to clean your house for free. I can clean your house. And I can also do some screening, because if you have a cat, then I'll bring in a friend. And my friend can help me, and she can clean, she can make money, I can make money, and we'll pay you back for this Kirby. And that's what I did, my first foray into entrepreneurship. So, before we think of failure as opportunity, failure as obstacles, I want to normalize it. I wanted to share that with you. It was difficult for me to be fired over and over and over again. I think one takeaway, obviously, is don't work for jerks. But also, if you're ever in a position of power, don't be the jerk, right? Creating opportunities for people to talk in rough draft, to brainstorm, to collaborate, to work together, to share that I'm not having a good day, or that thing I did wasn't great, but I want to do better so that we can support one another. And along the way, you're welcome to use or take my prepositions, because we can get over it. If there's a tree at the top of that hill that's blocking our way, we can go over it, we could go under it, we could go around it, right? We could sneak off through a shortcut, and that leads us on into the beyond, to the rest of the path. Thank y'all.
Questions for Anjanette? Questions? I know you have some burning questions. Over there. Over here. Sorry, who was it? Oh.
Is there an easy way to identify if you're working for a jerk?
Yeah, I think you feel it in your gut, like it's hard to breathe, right? You're not excited when you get up, you dread, like the interactions, you know it in your gut. I, for years, would make excuses for jerkdom, right? And like, like it's a bad day, or I'm not, right? And putting it back on me, I'm not doing something right. And often it really came down to that it wasn't me, it was them.
Other questions? Right there.
I know you mentioned that you tried a lot of different positions. I was just curious, how did, failures in these positions really shape your goals and like your career trajectory?
So I think because I had so many interactions, now when I was a jerk, it usually was that I just was unreliable, right? Little kid, school, all the kind of the pressures of that. But I think what it helped me do was think about the environment that I wanted to work in, right? Whether I worked once I kind of settled, worked for several nonprofits, and again, kind of bumped up against people that were less creative, less flexible, less dreamy about what we could accomplish, and then I just created my own business so that I could really cultivate the environment that I felt like could be a family atmosphere that we are all doing work with shared values. So I think those early experiences helped kind of shape this entrepreneurial spirit, right, of like, oops, like now what? Because I couldn't stop. I could not just be still, right? I had to keep moving forward, like we all do. We just don't think about it at the time.
All right. Thank you so much, Anjanette.
Thank y'all.